Hello, it's time for another Bill Bar Quick Take. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the concept of the evil Superman and sort of my favorite sort of variant of the evil Superman. To give a little background first, we're going to first talk about what is the evil Superman archetypal character. Really, what it is that it sort of takes the more generic concept of Superman, i.e., laser beams, flight, invincibility, are typically top three, and says, if this person was real, what would they be like? And typically, the answer that everyone sort of comes up with is that this person would be evil. You can have things like The Boys and Invincible are two more recent examples of this sort of character, even though both these stories were written back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and both of them definitely have that feel to them. But one of the main things that these sort of characters really focuses on is not just like what Superman was evil, but the sort of focuses on how this type of character relates to a concept that sort of existed throughout the comics throughout the 90s and early 2000s, which was really sort of focused on Lex Luthor's character in relation to Superman. So what I mean by this is that in comics, particularly in the 2000s iterations of Lex Luthor, a little bit earlier he also was like this as well, was that Lex Luthor was someone who believed that Superman was always secretly evil, and because of the fact that Lex Luthor would use Superman's powers to do bad things, Superman also must secretly want to do these bad things and will eventually do these bad things. So Lex Luthor has to build and create things to stop Superman from inevitably becoming evil. And that was sort of the whole concept of Lex Luthor around that time. And things like The Boys and Invincible really sort of take this concept from sort of how people were writing Lex Luthor at the time and saying, oh, that's the kind of type of Superman we want to create. And that's the reason why those writers created their variants of evil Superman in that light, because of a response to what was happening in the 90s at the time. And some people also tell that 90s comics always want to be edgier and more sexualized, etc., which is also definitely true. Like, you had very few writers who didn't really sort of push things to the edge. So, what is my favorite variant of Evil Superman? Oddly enough, my favorite variant of an Evil Superman-like character doesn't even come from American comics. It comes from a show from the early 2000s, an animated series from the early 2000s called Tiger and Bunny. And Tiger and Bunny, there was this character named Mr. Legend, who essentially was meant to be a sort of evil Superman stand-in. And the reason why I like this version of it better is because of the fact that what he as a character meant to represent in this universe. To give a little bit back about Tiger and Bunny, Tiger and Bunny was a show that sort of took the whole superhero concept and then basically said, what if superheroes were on a reality TV show? What if they were in a reality TV show competition? And a lot of what that did for the show was that it meant that every single character archetype within the sort of reality TV show gambit more or less represented a different style of person in terms of what sort of superheroes mean. So like, one was this woman who wanted to be a singer but was sort of forced into being a superhero because of various contracts, and really this represented how the industry abuses women in these sorts of ways. And there's another one who was a gay person, and is kind of represented that way. But the main character, Tiger, is meant to be a reference to the sort of 70s, 80s eras of superheroes before they started becoming edgy. Like, he's someone who's like, did I cause some damage? Doesn't really matter as long as I save the day. Yeah, let's do this. Type of person. And really what he represented in this universe was sort of the concept of superheroes as police officers, and him being the good cop, him being the sort of cop that always wanted to protect people and No matter what, he was there to protect people. And so, how does the evil Superman character come into the story? The way it comes to the story is that Mr. Legend was meant to be sort of the representation of the bad cop, where his entire backstory was that as he was aging, he started losing his powers, and because he was losing his powers, he started becoming much more abusive to his family. He became an alcoholic, and on top of this, because of the fact that he was a superhero and the other heroes around him didn't want the public to really lose trust in sort of the hero system, they basically falsified arrest reports to make him look good. They put it on top of this sort of the leaderboard, the in-universe leaderboard, and then anytime a bad arrest occurred, they would pretend it didn't occur. And I think that's the reason why I like this sort of variant of the evil Superman sort of archetype. And the reason why I call it evil Superman archetype is because while Tiger, the main character, is supposed to be a Superman-like character, even though his powers only last for an hour. And this guy also has the exact same powers as Wild Tiger, and he's again another Superman-like analog character whose powers only last for an hour. But the reason why I like him the most is primarily because of the fact that it really deals with how someone like this would be treated in the real world to a large extent. That if superheroes sort of existed, they would be treated the same way we would treat cops and police officers in our world, where like we would go, oh, we would have these people constantly in institutions surrounding them that would be constantly like, hey, you're doing the right thing. That doesn't matter if you injure or harm someone. You as long as the public confidence isn't shooken by whatever you do, we should back you 100% of the time. Even if you injure and harm your own family, it doesn't really matter because you're a cop. And that's the reason why I think this evil variant this evil Superman variant works the best.